All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you all for taking the time to join us today for the second episode of VCLF's Bite-Sized Business Workshop series. Today, we'll be focusing on strategically leveraging debt with the goal of clarifying different types of debt, their benefits and risks, identifying when and how to use debt to enhance your business, and how to effectively manage debt to maintain financial stability. My name is Sumner LeBaron Bryan. I'm a business advisor here at Vermont Community Loan Fund, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm joined by my colleague, Ben Green, the business resource manager here at VCLF. Just so everyone knows, this workshop is being recorded and can be distributed to anyone interested in the next few days. We'll also plan to have a Q&A session at the end of this workshop, which will not be recorded. And if you do have a question during the presentation, please feel free to share it in the chat. Alternatively, you can wait until the end of the presentation and share it with the group. First, I would like to start by introducing our organization for those of you who are not familiar with it. Vermont Community Loan Fund is a nonprofit, mission-driven community investment financial institution, also known as a CDFI. And we aim to create opportunities for local business owners with the intention of fostering healthy communities and financial stability for all Vermonters. VCLF provides flexible financing to individuals and communities who have been historically underserved, both illegally and legally, from commercial lending. And we primarily work with local businesses, childcare providers, community organizations, nonprofits, and affordable housing developers. VCLF was originally founded in 1987, and over the past 37 years, we've loaned $135 million to borrowers from every corner of our state, helping create or preserve almost 8,000 jobs, build or rehabilitate affordable homes for 4,750 households, and supported quality childcare programs for over 5,000 children and families. And in addition to offering flexible and patient capital, VCLF also offers free business advisory services to those interested. That's where Ben and I come into the picture, and this support helps clients overcome obstacles and tackle projects that many small business owners are intimidated by. While these services are completely optional, we have seen them have a positive impact on client sustainability and success over time. So with that, let's get into today's material. Before we dive into different types of debt and how to determine which is best for your business, I want to define what it means to leverage debt. Simply put, leveraging debt is the act of using borrowed funds to increase potential return on investment. In other words, you're borrowing money in the present to increase future gains. In this case, your returns will be greater than the cost of borrowing. The cost of borrowing being the original amount plus any accrued interest. While this all sounds great, the enhanced profitability does not come for free, and there is increased risk whenever an individual or business borrows money, and those risks must be assessed appropriately before taking on any sort of debt. So while there are many types of debt financing, for the purposes of this presentation and the time we have today, I'm going to focus on three of the most common: loan, line of credit, and credit cards. And I will break each down so we can understand why and where they are different. So let's dig a little deeper into our first type of debt financing, which is business loans. There are 5 types or parts of business loans that I want to touch on. Number 1 is the principal amount of the loan. This simply means how much money the lender is awarding to the borrower. It will also be known as the loan amount. Then next we have the interest rate, which is a percentage at which a lender charges borrowers for the use of the money. So depending on the type of financial institution you're borrowing from, the interest rate will be determined based on a variety of factors. Here at VCLF, our most utilized business loan program uses market rates to determine the base interest rate. So there is a lot of kind of complexities that come into play when we talk about market rates, and we won't go into that. But just so you know, our business loan program uses the market rate to determine our base interest rate here at VCLF. And at the moment, that rate is around 9.25%. And we do offer reduced interest rates on our specialty loan programs, which I can detail further at the end of the presentation if anyone has questions about those loan programs. In the context of a business loan, a term refers to the specified duration over which the borrower is obligated to repay the loan, encompassing the agreed upon period for the principal and accumulated interest to be fully repaid. The term length can vary, ranging from short-term loans with brief repayment periods to long-term loans with extended repayment schedules. Next, we have collateral. So collateral in the context of a business loan refers to assets or property that a borrower pledges to a lender as security against the loan. You can imagine this as a form of insurance for the lender. And in the event of a non-repayment, the lender may seize and sell the collateral to recover outstanding amount. Here at VCLF, we offer uncollateralized loans up to $10,000, which means that there is no collateral requirement. And beyond the $10,000, we ask for a dollar in collateral for every dollar we lend. Finally, we look at amortization. When determining the payment schedule, amortization is the process of gradually repaying both the principal and the interest over the loan term through equal and scheduled payments. Amortization schedules detail how much of each payment goes towards interest versus how much of it goes towards principal, and that helps businesses manage repayment obligations. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to throw them in the chat or wait till the end of the presentation, and Ben will let me know if there are any questions in the chat. Another common form of debt financing is lines of credit. So a line of credit is a flexible and revolving financial arrangement that allows a borrower to access a predetermined amount of funds from a lender on an as-needed basis up to a specified credit limit. The credit limit is the maximum amount a borrower can access and is determined by the lender based on various factors, including borrower's creditworthiness, income, credit history, and financial stability. Similar to a loan, a line of credit has an associated interest rate that is determined by looking at factors such as market rates, creditworthiness, and financial history, among a few other things. So the main differences we see between a line of credit and a loan are the revolving structure, draw period, and flexible use of terms. Revolving structure means that a borrower can borrow funds within the credit limit, pay them back, and then draw them up again under the same line of credit. In other words, it's a continuous cycle of borrowing. And of course, there are often stipulations on the frequency and repayment agreement, which I'm happy to detail further if anyone has questions on that. So the draw period plays a big role in the revolving structure in that it represents the period of time in which the borrower can access the funds. Subsequent to the draw period, there's a rest period in which the borrower must rest the line and begin to repay the borrowed amount. Lastly, what makes this option pretty attractive to potential borrowers is that it has flexible use terms, and businesses can use a line of credit for various purposes, such as managing cash flow, covering short-term expenses, taking advantage of opportunities, and addressing unexpected financial challenges. It offers flexibility in borrowing and repaying based on the business's needs. The last type of debt we'll talk about today is a credit card. So many folks today use credit cards for personal financing, but credit card companies also offer the same services to businesses in the form of business credit cards. And the 5 main elements of a business credit card are credit limit, APR or annual percentage rate, minimum payment, credit utilization, and rewards and fees. A credit limit is the maximum amount you can borrow on the card and is set by a card issuer based on your creditworthiness. Exceeding that limit may result in fees or declined transactions, and this limit is determined similar to how the limit on a line of credit is determined. APR, or annual percentage rate, is the interest rate charged on outstanding balances, which represents the cost of borrowing on an annual basis. So this is similar to an interest rate on a loan or a line of credit in that it both reflect the cost of borrowing. The minimum payment is just what it sounds like. It's the smallest amount you can pay each billing cycle, which is typically 30 days. And a failure to meet this minimum can result in late fees. Naturally, paying only the minimum extends the time to pay off the balance because you're accumulating more debt on greater outstanding balances. So just to give an example, if your credit card statement is $500 and you only pay the minimum of $25, the APR will be used to calculate interest on that remaining $475 on a bi-cycle basis until the outstanding balance is fully repaid. And then we have credit utilization, which is the ratio of credit used to credit available. So this does affect your credit score, and a lower utilization is generally better. If you have a credit limit of $10,000 and it's kind of sitting at that amount, it's going to negatively impact your credit score more than if you are keeping your credit utilization lower. And lastly, we have rewards and fees. So rewards on credit cards include benefits such as travel perks, discounts, or bonus rewards, and you will not get this on a loan or line of credit. It's one of the incentives to use a credit card, and why many businesses do. And then there are also associated fees, which include annual fees for card ownership, as well as late payment fees, which we talked about a little earlier, and or cash advance fees. So now that we've gone through all the different types of debt that we're going to talk about today, we will move on to key considerations in determining when to leverage debt. So there are 4 key considerations: strategic purpose, terms and structure, risks, and impacts. To strategically leverage debt means to have a clear purpose of use. So understanding the purpose in detail is crucial in determining how and why taking on debt will improve the financial viability and health of your business. Without a clear strategic purpose, a business owner runs the risk of worsening their financial position and compromising future lending opportunities. You also want to ensure that the terms and structure of the debt that you're taking on allow the business to remain cash flow positive. In simple terms, this means that the debt should not harm the long-term profitability of your business. And terms and structure include the amount of funds borrowed, interest rate, repayment period, and frequency of payments. So some of the things we were talking about when we were talking about loans, lines of credit, and credit cards. There can be other contractual agreements included. However, those previously listed are the fundamental aspects of a terms and structure agreement and what we'll focus on today. Next, we have the risks, arguably, at least in my opinion, the most important consideration. A business owner must assess the potential impact the debt will have on their financial stability and ability to repay existing and or future obligations. Here at VCLF, one of the biggest risk assessment tools we use is our cash flow projections worksheet, in which we look at all income and expenses for the business over 12 to 24 months, including the terms and structure of the debt that the borrower is considering. And lastly, we have impacts. Impacts are similar to strategic purpose in that they determine how the debt will improve the health of the business. For example, if the debt allows you to purchase a new piece of equipment to increase production, The impact will be increased sales and revenues associated with that product. You can see how this is similar to strategic purpose in that it defines the core reason behind taking on debt. But the main difference is that strategic purpose is the reason behind the decision, and the impacts or impacts are the result of this decision. So, how do we identify your strategic purpose? We could go on for a while about different uses for debt financing, but I will use this time to describe some of the most common. These will often come naturally to a business owner at the beginning stages or as they attempt to grow. So one of the most common purposes is capital expenditure needs, or CapEx, which refers to a significant long-term investment made by a company or a business in assets or projects that are expected to provide benefits over an extended period of time. So these expenditures are typically associated with acquiring, upgrading, or maintaining things like buildings, machinery, equipment, or technology. So when you think capital expenditure, think one of those things. We could go into more detail about what that looks like, and if anyone has any questions, I'm happy to answer them. The next is working capital management. This is the act of balancing a company's short-term assets and liabilities to encourage operational efficiency or to remain cash flow positive, like we were talking about before. It includes managing components such as the cash that you have on hand, accounts receivable, so money you're owed, inventory, and accounts payable, so money you owe to other people. Effective working capital management ensures that a business has enough resources to cover its short-term obligations and can also act on some opportunities for growth if they arise. In terms of lending, this type of debt is meant to give a business a boost in a time of need and should really not be relied upon on an ongoing basis. In other words, a business should not be relying on debt to remain cash flow positive through the life of their business. But it can be a helpful tool. Oops, sorry about that. So next we have the last strategic purpose, and that is restructuring existing debt. So sometimes business owners find themselves trapped under a pile of debt with high interest rates. And in some cases, this is because they've been relying heavily on credit cards with high APRs. It can feel impossible for people to dig themselves out of this hole, and a loan or a line of credit can often act as a lifeline in this situation, allowing a business to reorient and better manage expenses. So that was a lot of information, and I'm sure I was talking too fast. Digesting everything I just told you might take a while, and you'll likely have follow-up questions. So that's where the Business Resource Center at VCLF can come in very handy. The BRC, or Business Resource Center at VCLF, offers free advisory support to business owners interested in a loan or who already have a loan with VCLF. And strategically leveraging debt is just one of the many components we are willing and able to discuss if anyone wants to learn more. And we're happy to help with a variety of projects and or problems you are managing as a small business owner. We're meant to be liaisons between the loan team and the business owner to provide more context on what to expect during the loan application process and beyond. If you're not at a point where you need our direct services, that's totally fine, no pressure. We just want to offer help in any way we can. So we do have a bunch more bite-sized business workshops coming up in 2024. Our next workshop is called Building Project Budgets, and it's scheduled for March 27th, followed by Term Loans versus Lines of Credit on April 17th. And additional workshop dates will be posted in the coming weeks. So you can find the links to these on our Eventbrite page, which you access hopefully easily to get here today. But we'll also send out an email with invites in the coming days and weeks. So thank you all for taking the time out of your days to join this workshop now or later. And on this slide, you can find contact information for various teams at VCLF, including our entire loan team, the Business Resource Center, and our loan administrators. Please feel free to reach out with any questions or schedule an introductory call or even visit our website at investinvermont.org.